Everybody, welcome to today's podcast to the Yogi and the Blonde. My name is Nadia, aka the Yogi, and this is
Michelle, aka the Blonde.
Today's podcast is actually our final one for 2024. Today is all about reflection, insight, and having 2024 in our rear view mirror and looking forward to what's happening in the new year and reflecting and insight on what's happened this year. Now, Michelle and I are going to talk a little bit more personal, actually. We're going to talk about some personal things, some professional things, some health, and as well the podcast and where we think how things have gone, where we've done, all the fun, juicy stuff. Now, it's quite interesting because my first reflection is noticing how different we are. Michelle's like, before we always start a podcast, we always have a chat. And just checking in on things and checking in on how we are and stuff like that as well. And I said, so this is what we're going to talk about. I've changed the title. And she's like, okay, I've noted down like 3 things for each one. And she's like, what have you done? And I'm like, oh, you know me, I'm going to fly by the pants of my own. Fly by the pants of my seat by the plant. Oh, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. She's
I'm sure
flying
you
by
all know
the
what I mean.
seat of her pants, which
Yes,
is a weird
that's it.
saying, to be fair. It's weird when you think about it.
Yeah. So today is not educational, but it is in a way. It's not on a specific topic. It's about reflection. And let's take a moment here and let's just take a big deep breath in through the nose. And exhale out with sound. And when we reflect, it's always important to reflect on not the negative things and not like what you didn't do. Let's focus on what you did do and what happened in the lessons that you learned, even from the challenging bits. Now, Michelle, since you're so well organized, do you want to start us off with some personal stuff? We'll start off with each of our own personal things.
Yeah, so 2024, when I reflected back and thought about what has happened to me within my personal life in 2024, there were 3 really big things that stood out, which have obviously had an impact kind of on everything. The first one was my stepson moving to Argentina, and that happened right at the beginning of 2024. Mm-hmm. He is a talented kid, and he has gone over to Argentina to play football. He has a dream of becoming a professional footballer, which I appreciate. A lot of young boys have that same dream, but you know, this kid actually has talent. He moved over there. He got into the best academy in Argentina, and he absolutely smashed it. He turned up. He understands the language, but doesn't speak it too well, doesn't read it. He's turned up. He got into that academy. He's gone to school. You know, he's settled into life there. So it's really amazing and inspirational. And in a way that has helped because it's been a real big adjustment for me and my partner. You know, he's been in my life since he was 6 years old, 8 years.
That's a long time.
That whole time, pretty much that whole time, we've been co-parenting him with a 50-50 custody split. So, you know, he was a part of my everyday life. And it's been an adjustment to not have him here at all. And it's just me and my partner, and, you know, we miss him so much. But like I said, knowing that he's doing well and he's working towards his dream kind of is a comfort. I've been fortunate enough to go to Argentina twice this year.
Lucky girl.
Which was very lucky and very privileged. I won't be doing that again next year because I can't afford to do that again. But it's been wonderful to go over, see him in his new environment and see him playing football. And he's actually going to come back here very soon, in a matter of days. So we're really looking forward to seeing him. But it's been a big impact on us this year, and I think we've both coped quite well with that. and he's coped really well as well. So hopefully it all works out and it was all worthwhile in the end.
Well, the way I always look at it, even if worst case scenario, no luck there, which I highly doubt it, but everything's a learning curve. Like the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful. It's all a learning curve, right? It doesn't matter. You wouldn't be if I like I reflect to getting my heart like literally torn out and stomped after being in New Zealand for a year and a half and really was heading back home. And I'm always grateful for my boss at that time where I worked, because when I went to him and said, "Hey," I said, "I'm going to head back home," and when he learned that it was because of a breakup, he's like, "You're an emotional mess." He's like, "Don't do any major decisions." He's like, "Give yourself some time." And then like 2-3 weeks later, I approached him and said, "Hey, I'm happy. I want to get my residency, man." And he's like, "Great, we'll help you out." And so it was really good in that kind of way. So it's good to reflect on things in that way. And I keep remembering that memory because I wouldn't be where I am today. And so even though I got my heart stomped on, affected my self-esteem massively and everything like that, but I wouldn't be where I am today. So yeah, for myself, this year's been a big challenge mentally, physically, emotionally. And I have grown in a way of, I feel like I've matured. No, let me rephrase that. I have matured emotionally. And I have also healed, if that makes sense. I have healed mentally and emotionally. And that's been really grateful for me. Like, reflecting on how I thought, we've spoken a lot about ego, right? And not saying that I was ego driven, but I certainly had a lot of things in the way that I was hindering from myself. And this year's been a big one for bringing up that confidence within myself and also loving myself more. Before I did my breath coaching certification, I had this amazing, intense breath work session where I had a little glimpse of self-love. And I would say that, and also being comfortable with spending true time with myself. I did in isolation, but it was different. It was a different mentality. It was a very poor me mentality of being the victim because I'm by myself. But here I choose to, which is totally different. If that makes sense at all. And another thing is I have been able to clear some debts and create new connections and evolve in so many different ways. It's really hard to say this exact thing is what is the change. It's like these little micro things of somebody telling me like where I live and work is in a remote place, literally. Like we make our own power, we've got to manage our own water, sewer, all of that. So I am on site here a lot, pretty much 95% of the time. I don't leave very often. And you live and work with the same people, except we've got guests coming, right? And I found that it's really opened my eyes to how I always thought I was a big team player, but I really opened up to, yes, now I am a true team player. I am a lot softer. And I always thought I wasn't soft, but now I'm becoming softer. I've always been quite direct, and I'm aware of that, and there's not a bad thing about that, but I am softening up. I am watching my P's and Q's, and I'm selecting who I let in my life. And I keep a loving distance of people that I don't want too close in my space in life that can be toxic for me, just because we're vibrating at different levels. And then also encouraging and lifting other people. So it's been like a very deep personal growth and a lot of healing. Because it's almost a year, actually. I'm not too far. About 6 days, I'm 7 days, a week off from being here for a full year. And I was reflecting on that. And I remember the day that I arrived, it was pouring rain and I was unpacking. It was chaotic. I had
pain. You were in actual physical pain from your
back.
My
back.
Well.
That's right. Right.
You were in a tough place. So it's actually been very incredible to see, if you remember back to that time at the beginning when you were settling in and it was all very new, and the change has been profound that's happened over the course of the year.
Yeah, and a lot of this growth has been through the health, and we'll talk about that when we get to that point. Actually, I'm going to jump right into the health, actually, since it's all kind of for me, for my personal and health, has been quite linked quite a lot together as well. So going back to Michelle, like in the beginning of 2023, I hurt my back and struggled with that for quite some time. And then I was getting some help with that with a strength and power functional physio. Obviously, that was not as long as he was hoping it would be, because I was moving to the South Island to Maria Hot Springs. On my drive here, my back went on me, and it was just horrible because you're sitting, right? And that's not a great position to be in when you've got a back issue. And with that, and then it just came to a ripple effect. It came to adjusting to a new environment, the way they do things, is still grieving over my dad, still struggling with myself emotionally and mentally. COVID had really kicked me in the ass within my health, within my mental health, and seriously, it's taken some time. But through that ripple effect through the year, I started growing as the year started. I realized about people who are toxic, how people can affect you that are very toxic type of person that can actually affect your way of thinking, your well-being. And so when I've learned about, I pick who I'm going to have in my life and who I'm going to keep near and who I'm going to push away. And the other thing is I also learned is give myself some time and space to heal. And when we are always in a rush mentality and physically, that's when we actually bring the injuries into play. I've learned to slow down to a point. Even in the classes I teach, I notice that I'm like, let's slow that movement down to be aware. And this came a lot about when I broke my ankle. I cracked my ankle bone and ligament in June, and then that did a ripple effect. But even before that, I got, it was like massive. So for the longest time, I've had gut issues. And with that, in the beginning of the year, I'm going to go a little graphic. I've had massive diarrhea. And we know that means your body is not processing food correctly. Something's going on. Long story short, end up getting some samples tested and found out I had like this thing called the Shinga toxin, which is part of the E. coli family. And I have no idea where I got it from because there's not a pinpoint. It was just hard to figure it out. But through that, I started working on my gut health. And that is also a thing you got to think on perimenopause. That'll affect my gut as well. And it was just amazing to see how it was like, if you think about it, it was my back, my gut, then my ankle. My ankle. And they say things comes in threes, right? after that, it took a while for me to settle because that ankle did a ripple effect onto my back again. But I met an amazing woman that just lives in a little community not far from Maruria that has magic hands. I'm serious, magic hands. Seriously. Like to a point where I can't move very well, and I go and see her and I have to see her only like twice, and I've got movement back and I'm like back to myself. It's just like literally she's got magic hands. But the way that she works, she massage you, it's really interesting. It's very different. And this is what I mean. Like I've been meeting such interesting people as well. And then from there, it just seems like something just lit up in me. And from that, I then was able to, I feel like a flower. Like I've been walking through the rainforest and it's spring and everything's like everything's like new fresh little sprouts and stuff. And I feel like this has been slowly happening since the beginning of August actually. I feel like little sprouts has been coming through. And as each week goes by, I feel stronger. I feel more confident. And with that, with the injuries and with the gut issues and all of that, I feel that that was a big learning curve, knowing that any part of my French fucking thing that comes in my life, I am capable to tackle it, to get it done. The other thing is to not let people pull you down. Like, not let that gossipy bullshit drag you, because that's toxic. So it's about letting go of the toxic people in your life. Yeah. So if I were to narrow it down like Michelle, I'd be like, let go of toxic people, give yourself some time and space, enjoy true self-love and truly choosing to be on your own, not forced to be on your own, and enjoying your company, and learn from the shitty things in life. Because in the long run, it passed, you're still alive, you're still here. And what was the lesson? Learn from that.
The year of learning. The year of learning.
Yeah, it has been. And it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop.
Yeah, it's a good
Now,
place
for your
to
health,
go
what's been up with you?
Well, and this is not to show off. When I reflect on my health for the year, obviously one of my main values in life is to look after my health. And I look back on this year and I have been healthy. I suspect I had COVID at some stage when we got back from Argentina and we moved into
that.
Oh God, we were so rough. I think we got something in Argentina. My partner started to feel unwell at the airport on the way back. By the time we got back, I started to feel unwell. But we had given ourselves 5 days between returning from Argentina. This was our second trip. And then moving into a new house that we had purchased just before we went on our trip. So we hadn't really organized anything. We got back, we had 5 days to pack up the house that we were living in, meet the lawyers, go through all of this kind of stuff. I went back to work because I hadn't been working, and of course I'm self-employed. And I was rough, but I was holding it together. My partner was rough. He was trying to do what he could. And then we moved into the house 5 days later. Slept in the house the first night. I woke up the next day, had no voice, couldn't speak. And I think I took 3 or 4 days off work, or I tried to go into work and kept losing my voice, and I just had to stop. And it was almost like my body had held on until we'd moved into the house and that bit was done. And then it just absolutely let go. I wonder if it was COVID. I'm not sure. I didn't do a test because we don't have any tests. We're not testing anymore, really. It doesn't make any difference whether it was or wasn't. But that was really the only main ill health I had this year. I've been very fortunate not to have had any major injuries, which I put down to learning from previous years where I have had kind of constant niggles and I've ignored them until they've become injuries. This year I've been really focusing on mobility training. alongside my strength training, which I think has really helped. And I also have a monthly appointment with my physio. So he kind of will assess me every time I go. If there's nothing going on, I'll get a nice sports massage. If there's something that's not quite right, we'll do a bit of work and stop it becoming an actual injury. And it's meant that I've been able to, I guess, go pretty much through the whole year healthy.
That's beautiful self-care of the fact that you did.
So
you kept up with that physio appointment. I love that. I love how you did that. That's so awesome.
Well, it's
so
an investment
awesome.
because it's not free.
Yeah.
But it's once a month. And again, my health is my value. It's important to me to stay healthy. I've seen the impact that injuries can have on yourself. My partner has been very injured this year, and it affects you. It affects everything in your life. And, I don't want that to happen to me. So I view it as an investment, and it's a time investment, and it's a financial investment, but it's an investment that has actually kept me healthy this year. So money well spent.
Good on you. Yeah, totally money well spent. I love it. And that's that, like I was saying about the lady with the magic fingers. And that's something that I've been looking at my finances and going to look at investing in myself, is just to go and see her and just have her work on whatever needs work and stuff, because she's been amazing and really, really good in that way as well. Now, professionally, Michelle, where have you been? You've had a really growth this year as well.
Yeah, professionally. Look, you can relate to this. I know that you are partially employed, an employee at the moment, but you have been 100% self-employed. And here in New Zealand, it's a double recession. We're in a second or third year now of a recession. So, just reflecting on the fact that I'm still here, still running my business, and hanging in there. Like it's tough out there. And we've just talked about investing in our health. People that invest in PTs are investing in their health, but it can also be viewed as a luxury product, a luxury service to have a personal trainer. I think it's money well spent, and it's an investment in your life and your longevity. But people
because you've done it yourself before you came.
I had a PT when I didn't have a lot of money, but I found a way of having a PT. Because I needed it. I believed in it, which I guess makes it easier now as a PT. I believe in the service that I provide. But, in a double recession, people look to cut costs, and, you could just go to the gym yourself and, figure it out yourself. But the thing is that people don't. So I'm super happy that I've actually survived another year. If I look back on where my business was last year in terms of my in-person work, some clients have moved on, but I've gained lots of new clients as well. So I feel in a really good place, and I feel more confident in myself as a personal trainer. And this year I've also forayed into working in the online space, which is outside of my comfort zone, and it's been slow going and it's been a challenge, but I have successfully worked with people online in a one-to-one basis. I've helped people to get some really good results, and I've got my first little group session off the ground now. I'm 5 weeks into my first 8-week group program. So, I'm excited for 2025 and seeing if I can get that more off the ground, get more people through the group. Because the good thing about working online is you can work with people from anywhere. A lot of the people I work with currently are in the UK. They're on the other side of the world to me. So, people that work in the profession that we do, we just want to help people. And I guess working online gives you the opportunity to help even more people, and you're not kind of restricted by time differences or physical being in different countries. So it's an exciting time in an area I want to keep delving into.
Growing and evolving. No, that's awesome. It is interesting to see you evolve and grow, and I've enjoyed doing that and seeing it. So thank you for choosing me to be a part of your non-toxic environment.
Yeah, the fact I'm still here hopefully means that I'm not one of those toxic people that you referred
No,
to.
you are so not it. You are so far from it. So far from it. And I found, like, I get where you come from, and it's like, it's interesting because it's like I work for a company at this hot springs resort, but I am also working for myself. As between things, I do put in a lot of hours here, but between things, I am working on my content for my online program, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm slowly building and growing that. And it's interesting because I think I've reflecting on this past year and seeing my own personal growth. And I feel quite confident and strong about everything. And what really has helped that is this move to Maruria. So last year I left Auckland. It actually was today, I think the 26th, 27th of November.
Wow.
Yeah. So actually a year today-ish.
We're on the
So that's
move.
pretty, I left Auckland to come to the South Island. That's fascinating. So I've done this big journey, and through this and coming here, I have grown because, believe it or not, Michelle's felt like this. We've had conversations about this, is feeling like an imposter. And I always felt like that. But being here and teaching the classes, helping creating a schedule for the classes and the themes, and then building my knowledge and experience with doing hot cold therapy is what we offer this for our guests that stay here, is called sauna infusions. And we do guide them through a sauna experience with essential oils, and then we do a cold plunge, and then we do another round sauna and then cold plunge. And I educate people. I've learned some tools. I've read some studies and benefits. And I've also bring in my other modalities of my mindfulness, my breath coaching, everything like that. And through this journey, I've met some pretty incredible people. Have started to create a connection and a small little community. And with this, we've got repeated guests that come back, sometimes once a year, sometimes multiple times through the year. And those that come multiple times through the year, like there's a couple that come like every 2 months or so, and they just come during the colder time of the year, not so much during the summer. So they were just here the other day, and I was going to go do the 8:30 sauna infusion yesterday morning, and I seen her. I'm like, hey, she's like, oh, you're still here. Oh, you're doing the sauna infusion. Yay, we were hoping it was going to be you. And because we've got such a high turnover staff of like a lot of backpackers, it was amazing to see that she's like, oh, I can tell there's a newbie again in there last night, and so on and so on. She's like, oh, I'm so glad. I love your sauna infusions and stuff. And I'm like, cool. And so it's such a beautiful thing when you've got people that come through and you connect with them. And this is not just regular people, but I'm also connecting with people within the health and wellness industry. So it's interesting. I am very isolated. I live remotely, but I meet such an array of people. And some of those people, that's where I learned where I've got to put my wall up and keep my distance and protect myself, because there's a lot of people who have a lot of stuff and don't know and just pull your energy out. And that's been an interesting aspect in itself. Now, next year, I'm all gung ho to keep building my online basis business. And I've got a few different funnels, a few different things. I've got a few different fingers in different pots and pans, I guess we'll say. What do they say? My
Pies.
fingers in a few different pies. But yeah, and I'm looking forward to it all. And it's been an interesting journey of the people that I've met and the confidence that has brought in, because you get feedback. And I know not everybody's going to resonate with me on that, and I'm okay with that. And I've known that for a very long time, because it's something I always say in a yoga class is like, if this is your first time coming to yoga class, you might not resonate with what I'm teaching. You might not resonate with me, and that's okay. But to just go out and find another teacher, another studio that you resonate with, or another PT, or another gym, or whatever that might be. As long as you're out there doing something, if that makes sense. And yeah, and just so the feedback from people who do resonate with me has been amazing. And I've made some pretty amazing connection, and actually some friendships as well. So yeah, I've really liked that growth. I've gone from 100% self-employed to not 100% self-employed. There was challenges and growth within that, because I used to do what I want, when I want, how I want. But now it's completely changed. But I've grown through that process. And with that, I am ever so grateful. And I love the fact how it's made me even more confident as a coach, a health and wellness coach, a transformation health and wellness coach. So even though I'm not self-employed at the moment, I'm okay with that.
That's good.
It's interesting because
that's a change as the year's gone on as well. I know that was a big adjustment for you. So
yeah, it was a big
that
adjustment.
You have kind of found that.
Yeah, and
peace
I've
the
cleared out
balance.
some debt, which I was not able to do when I was self-employed living in Auckland. It just didn't work for me. You know, I live on my own. I don't have a partner. You know what I mean? I'm like literally my own income. And it was challenging. And down here, people resonate more with me, which is what I'm looking for. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So next, our final one is the big one, the podcast reflection. I'm going to put you on the spot, Michelle. I know you love being put on the spot.
Always.
Well, can I just say, the one thing I got to say is what I've noticed. Now, I'm going to reflect over a few years, because this is our second year doing the podcast. And I've got to say, the first time Michelle started doing with a podcast, it was beautiful to see how she's grown and evolved with massively putting herself in a discomfort of putting herself in a camera, and not, I see you a little bit more relaxed in the way that you don't have to be by a script. Do you know what I mean? And be yourself. Let your authentic, beautiful self come out. And I've loved seeing that. And this year, with the big change of me moving down here and you being up still in Auckland, and not sure how this was going to work. And I think it went pretty well. We had developed quite a beautiful understanding with each other, and being so relaxed. Like, I know I was quite of a sergeant when we first started. Oh, it's got to be like this, and we've got to keep doing it like this, and we've got to record every day or every week, and we've got to plan, da 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 da. I've like relaxed completely. Can you now, because I'm aware I've relaxed, I'd love to hear your insight on what your experience on that was, from the sergeant to a little bit more chilled.
Yeah, I mean, it has been overwhelming in the past, because like you said, when you're a self-employed person, you're your own boss and you do what you want to do when you want to do it. So to have someone come into your space and say, no, this has to happen at this time, but blah, 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 blah. You know, that was a bit of a, what? Okay, what's happening here? And I think it was a learning curve of just kind of working together and understanding each other as the time went on. And I think you started to understand me a bit more, and how too much structure and stuff can overwhelm me, and to the point where it's just stop, game over. So I think you learned that about me, and I guess I learned that about you as well, kind of in how we communicate to each other. But I guess over the course of 2 years, it's been 2 years now, I guess we have both kind of fallen into the way of working together. And it's been noticeable, I guess, because, as we've just talked about, a lot has happened this year, various different things, overseas trips, various different illnesses, injuries. And, and this is kind of what we say to people in our coaching. Life happens, and, the best laid plans fall apart when life gets in the way. And I guess that has affected
It's how
the way
you get
we've
up from
done
that
the
as well.
podcast. Yeah, but, just in terms of having to have flexibility, saying, yep, we want to do this, but right now we need to put this on pause for a few weeks. Or, do you know what, actually today I'm not able to bring my best. Can we do it another day? Having that flexibility to move around. I feel like that's something that wasn't an option at the beginning. And I think just as we've both changed, I guess, over the past few years, that is something that just has worked much better together this year, that there is that kind of
ebb and flow,
flexibility, and the ebb and flow. It's like, yeah, okay, let's get this done. We've got a window, let's go for it. Or it's, I haven't got the energy today. And the mutual respect for that and what other people are going through. So yeah, I think we found our way of making it work. As we were talking about before this started, I guess this was also the case when we were in Auckland, but, there are just differing schedules now, differing things going on. So, we can't always do what we want to do when we plan to do it, but we also kind of just find a way around it as well. So.
And going back to that whole thing is actually just learning, just going, okay, just because it didn't work I think we even had like a month where we didn't record anything. And it's just and that was around the time my back injury, my ankle, and it was my broken ankle, then my back, and then you came back from Argentina and you were like sick, moving, all of that. And it was just, okay, whatever. And it's really just because that happened, it didn't mean that we just decided we're just going to stop doing the podcast just because it didn't work during that time. And the fact that we held space for each other, even though we're in different parts of the island, north, south, but we held space for each other. We would still check in. We would still see where we're at and how we're feeling, and and just making sure everything's okay. How's it going now? No pressure. And that's what I really liked. There was no pressure. There was understanding and opening there. And it's interesting because going back to reflection of Michelle, too much structure, too much pressure, and how that's overwhelming for her. And I remember something came up and I was like, and I just remember questioning you about it and going, will that be too much? Are you going to be able to handle that? And I noticed you've actually grown from that. So structure isn't a bad thing for you anymore. It isn't an overwhelming thing. You've actually melted into that beautifully, and you've grown with it as well. So structure is not always a fearful thing for you anymore, which is good to see. I like.
Yeah.
I like it very much. For this year, I think I've enjoyed also doing the different topics we've talked about, and our different opinions as well, and our different experiences in the way, because I'm not now working in a gym as a personal trainer. I am focusing on the retreat where I'm at, and I wear multiple hats here as well. So, and then Michelle building her PT business, your online business, and I just like the different insights, and we're growing and evolving. And I think that's where we need to look at, is not to be so challenging and hard on ourselves, because there might be some envious from each other of, oh, that's where I want to be. Oh, well, I've got to do this. But I think it's more about embracing and knowing that Michelle's a carrot, I'm a cucumber. So we're very different. So we can't compare each other to each other. This is something I say a lot in a sauna infusion, actually, because I don't want people comparing.
Cucumbers.
Yeah, carrot. Well, there's a carrot, there's a cucumber, there's an apple, there's an orange, there's a kiwi fruit, there's a banana, there's a watermelon, there's a melon dew, the honeydew, there's, a tomato, an avocado. Everybody's unique and everybody's different, and we need to let go of that comparing. So Michelle's not better than me, and I'm not better than Michelle. We're equal because we're different.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. And I think that's what is about life, is to grow, to work on that. And I think I like this about this podcast, is that we work on the different thoughts and views.
Okay.
Anything you want to finish off with?
Yeah, I'm going to challenge you now. Do what you do to me and put you on the spot. Yay. What are you most looking forward to in 2025?
Ooh, that is putting me on the spot. I love it.
Gotcha.
But I love it. I love it. I love it. What am I looking? Oh, my trip. So I am planning a trip with my mom next year. We're going to go to Europe. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's interesting because I want to make sure that I'm at a specific place within my online business as well. And because I want to utilize that as a travel and work and see how that goes.
Good.
So that's me. That's for me. It's that, and having a goal, a specific goal. I've got to sit down and really think this one, but a goal for where I want to be within my online business, and and just take a moment to reset halfway through the year as well. Yeah. Oh, and all I got to say is change my body. That's all I'm going to leave it at. Change my body.
Dun, dun, dun.
Michelle, what about you?
To be continued. Well, I don't like to look too far forward because everything changes so much. But something I'm really looking forward to in 2025, my sister is coming to New Zealand with her partner and my niece. And I have literally been waiting my whole life to be an auntie. And I'm finally an auntie, and my niece is coming to New Zealand in January. She will be almost 6 months old when she gets here, and I just cannot wait to see her and give her a big cuddle. And yeah, that's about as far forward as I'm looking. I just can't wait for that. So
yeah. That's going to be a good one for you because you got Joaquin arriving here soon, and then right after that, it'll be your sister.
Yeah, he leaves, and then less than 1 week later, the family arrives. So it's going to be really sad to say goodbye to Joaquin, and then at least we'll have something to look forward to. I don't even want to think about when my sister then leaves because then we'll be bereft, but we'll deal with that later.
yeah. One step at a time. Just focus on the here and the now, right?
Exactly.
The here and the now. Well, it's been a blessing, guys, for 2024. Yeah, 2024.
Yes.
I was going to say 22. I was going to say 2014. I'm like, whoa, where am I? 2024. No. Yeah, 2024. Let's have a final tip. Each of us give us a final tip. Mine is to be present, to let go of what doesn't serve you anymore, and to just let the people that fill your cup, let them in, let them fill your cup, and then that allows you to fill others. Michelle.
Oh my God. See, this is what you do to me, and then I'm like,
Payback's up. Just go with your heart.
Yeah, I think tune in with what your values are and focus your attentions in 2025 to what your values are. So many people live outside of their values because they haven't actually sat down and figured out what they are, and then they wonder why they're not happy. So tune in with what your values are and make sure that you are working within your values.
Love it.
And living
Love
within your values.
Tuning into your values and living it. That's the thing. You can talk, but it's not until you start the walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, we're out of here, guys. Have a fabulous holiday season, and we'll see you in 2025. Ciao.